In this video we're going to look at creating shapes in the Interwrite software. Shapes are quite good just for doing drawings and things, but they probably come mostly into their own when you want to maybe create boxes where you can sort text into them, you can categorize things, etc. So we're going to look at basically creating some shapes and some ways that we might use them in the classroom. The shape tools are here, so just click on that. Once you've done that, you need to go down to the options here to see what sort of shape you're creating. So if I click on that, I see there are several different shapes here that I can draw. You'll note some of them are filled in automatically and some of them are just empty shapes that you'd have to fill in separately afterwards. So to demonstrate that, let's grab the star shape and I'm going to draw that. Once we have the star shape, there's not much we can actually do with it. We can draw more stars, see here, because we've still got that selected until I click the selection tool. I could select that shape by grabbing the border part of it, and then I could go into the toolbox, the fill tool, and fill that shape. So that's one way you can do it. If I go back to the shapes now and I get this shape tool, I could select this side to the left. Here is the outline and the border, etc., and then the inside, the right side here, we could show what to put on the inside of the shape. So it's the fill tool, so I could choose yellow there. So now when I draw it, it's using the colours of the border for blue, the fill colour for yellow, so that's given us the choice of exactly how we'd like to fill it. If I want to change the thickness of the outside line, I can, and now when I draw it, it's got a thicker border. So that's ways of drawing shapes that are either not filled and then fill them afterwards, or to set up that shape so that it has a fill colour and a fill outline. Go back into the shapes now. This rounded rectangle, when I draw that, it has a standard default colour that I'm drawing it with, so it will give a black outline and then the yellow fill. Again, I could choose my line colour, I could choose a different fill colour. Let's move that out of the way so I can see. Let's go for pink and click OK. Now when I draw one, it's got a blue border and a pink fill. So we can draw shapes like that. You can go back to the select tool, you can drag a shape over another shape, so you could draw pretty pictures. Now can you see what happened when I did that? It's actually put that star shape behind the rectangle. By default, the last shape you draw will be on top of the other shapes, and that can be a problem when you're drawing, but it can also be a problem when we're actually putting maybe text over these later. So you can see what's happening here. I really want the star to be in front of the text box, but it's going behind it because it was drawn before I drew the rectangle. So if I look at along the bottom here, you'll see I've got some little extra tools that are coming along here. We've got a copy and paste, we've got a cut to remove it, but if you look at the little icon here, this is putting the order that things are in. So this allows us to put things in front or behind of other things. So I've got the star selected, I'll click on this and I'm going to say bring to front. Now my star is in front of the rectangle. It's very much like in Word or Publisher when you're drawing things, but you may not have played with this very much. But the order of things is whether they're on top of each other, behind each other. So that will come into play maybe in the next little thing that I show you how to do. So we've drawn shapes, we can see we can move them around, and we can put them either in front or behind other shapes. So I'm going to show you an example of something I'd use in class. I'm going to clear this page for now. I'm going to get a shape, and I will use the filled rectangle that I prepared before, and I'm going to draw that one there, a bit of a Gary colour, but hey, and then I'm going to draw another one there. So I've got two rectangles, and what I want to do is I want to create a little sort of categorising activity here. So I'm going to use the text tool that we used before. Select text. I'm going to click on this box, and I'm going to say maybe animal here, and a vegetable there. So I've got a couple of headings. Go back to my select tool. I'm just going to move that up and move that up. Okay, so we've got those two items. Now if I'm going to want to move these around later, what I can do is I can click on the word to select it, the text, and then click on the actual shape as well. And down here now I've got a little group button, so if I click on group I can now move that around. But can you see what's happened? Somehow I've lost my text there, and I think the problem here is that we've had this problem with things going in front and behind of things again. So if I click on here and say centre back, still nothing's happened. Because it's grouped together, I'm sort of having a bit of an issue. So I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to go down here, and you see my text was there, it had just got lost. So put my pitch shape back there. I'm going to select that, order it, and say send to the back. Now I can see my text again. I'm going to select my text as well, click on group. Right, and this time I've got the text and the shape grouped together, so I can move them around wherever I like, but I can actually see my text. And that's probably the fiddliest thing about using shapes in these sorts of activities, is having things in front or behind of each other so that things go missing. So I've got my animal and vegetables, and now what I'm going to do is to get some items here, and we will say fish, cabbage, lemon, dog. Okay, finish my text boxes, so I'll click on that, reorganise this a bit so we can see them. Right, and then the activity might be that you passed the wireless mouse around to your students, or they used the interactive whiteboard pen on the board, or used graphics tablets, but the role then would be for them to actually move those around and get them into the right order. So this is very simple here with animals and vegetables, but it could be all sorts of different things. You could be talking about good behaviours, bad behaviours. You could be categorising more complex items. It could be true and false. But you can see you've created in a very short amount of time an activity that's sort of interactive, that will cause lots of discussion. Once we've got these how we want them, again we could save them and maybe export them as PDF to put them in onto Moodle once we're all happy with them. But you'd be surprised how much conversation, how much discussion will happen in class when you're working on activities like that. If the students don't agree something's quite right, whether they want to change it, it just becomes a really useful activity. And all we've done here is created shapes, created text boxes, but very quickly we've actually created a nice quick activity that we could use in the classroom and save for later.